Right now, Chris Hayes is trending on Twitter. And the other night, hashtag Fire Chris Hayes was trending on Twitter. Now, what could the MSNBC host possibly have done to warrant cries of terminating his job? Certainly, he must have done something very, very egregious. Maybe something inappropriate with a woman. Or could it be that he actually reported the news? You can't have that, can you? These anti-Trump resistance types on Twitter will not be satisfied unless only the lies that make Trump look bad are aired in prime time. Well, you know, MSNBC loves running complete and utter BS, especially with Rachel Maddow talking about Russia coming to get you. But see, Chris Hayes, he did a good job. Now, I haven't seen the full segment. I watched some of it. But apparently he covered the Tara Reade allegations, and for this, he must be fired. Well, we'll see if he actually gets fired. Some conservatives have pointed out that MSNBC hasn't uploaded the clip of the Tara Reade story just yet. I'm not going to allege any conspiracies. Maybe it takes time, but certainly people want this man to be removed. They're not going to fire Chris Hayes. He's like one of their main dudes over at MSNBC. But it is surprising to see that even MSNBC now has to report on what's going on. You have made your bed, and now you will lay in it. You will reap what you have sown. And what's the other one? If you live in a glass house, don't throw stones. Well, these are the rules they wanted and the rules they will play by. So they can spit and yell and screech all day and night on Twitter about how it's not fair. The allegations against Biden are not credible. Yeah, but the more evidence comes out, if you wanted this really low standard against Brett Kavanaugh, congratulations. Let's read the story from The Wrap. MSNBC's Chris Hayes praised and derided for covering Tara Reade's assault accusations against Joe Biden. The primetime host took on a topic that has been slow to gain traction. I wonder why it's slow to gain traction, even with all the corroborating evidence. Let's read. They say, many mainstream news outlets have so far treated pretty gently the allegations. The accusations against presumptive Democratic nominee Joe Biden by former staff assistant Tara Reade. Hayes' decision to cover the details around the accusation in primetime on All In earned him both derision and praise, and sent his name climbing Twitter's trending list overnight into Thursday morning. Hashtag Fire Chris Hayes also trended on Twitter, propelled by the sort of high follower resistance accounts that tweet messages of support for the Democratic Party. Quote, "You all must know, if we all stop watching, he'll go away, right?" Tweeted one account with a bio showing support for a list of basic Democratic platforms. We have the power, it said. Now, I can't tell you why Chris Hayes decided to do the right thing and talk about the story, and he should have done it a long time ago. I can't tell you that CNN is now beating MSNBC in the ratings. That was surprising to me. CNN has consistently lagged behind, and all of a sudden, we're now seeing CNN get double the numbers, edging out MSNBC. Could it be, in their desperation, they realize they have to go for the broader base? I'll tell you what. You know who doesn't like Joe Biden? Trump supporters. You know who else doesn't like Joe Biden? Bernie supporters. So guess what? You got this really, really big pool of voters to or individuals to watch your political content. That's not the resistance, okay? It's everyone else. Nobody likes Biden. So over on the Democratic Party side, you've got mostly moderates, but it's fractured. Maybe about a little bit less than half are progressive. That little bit less than half, they don't like Joe Biden. Then you got literally every other Trump supporter. Perhaps MSNBC thought, you know what? We could actually get conservatives to watch tonight if we cover this story and the Bernie supporters. One of the funny tweets I saw in this hashtag was that MSNBC is in the bag for Bernie, so they're trying to take down Joe Biden. You know what, man? Come on. Don't even play. That's ridiculous. MSNBC is not in the bag for Bernie. Neither is Chris Hayes. I can't tell you why they suddenly had a moment of clarity where they decided to actually report news, but he did. Let's read a little bit more. There's actually some more news here, too. Washington Post. They're all coming out against Biden. The cards are falling. The House of Cards is collapsing. Another ostensibly Democrat-supporting Twitter account lamented the segment, comparing Hayes to a Fox News host. I love it. What Chris Hayes did today is no different than what Tucker Carlson does every day. He gave credibility to a BS story with no legs to stand on. This is but her emails all over again. Those reading these critical tweets might conclude Hayes is a conservative, but in reality, he's one of President Donald Trump's harshest critics. He's editor-at-large of The Nation and was once a writing fellow at In These Times, both of which are very, very much on the left. So maybe he really is a Bernie bro. He really is trying to say, you know what? You want to take down Bernie? I will take down Biden. I really doubt it. I think it's all about the ratings. He started the segment on Reid and Biden by highlighting the accusation's newsworthiness, not, as the criticism made it seem, necessarily heralding it in the absolute truth. There have been moments, I think for many of us, all of us, when we have heard about accusations against someone that we find ourselves desperately wanting not to believe. Whether that is because we have some personal admiration for the individual and their work or political admiration for someone on our quote-unquote side. Part of the difficult lesson of the Me Too era is not that every accusation is true and everything should be believed on its face, but that you do have to fight yourself when you feel that impulse. Here, good sir. Let me add to anybody who's gloating and laughing, Donald Trump has also been accused. But hey, it's not even about that, right? I think for most people, we all know Trump's been accused by a bunch of women. It's about the double standard. It's about the media's unwillingness to actually say, okay, we recognize Trump's been accused. What about Joe Biden? What about the allegations against Kavanaugh? They want to accuse Kavanaugh destroy his life. What about Joe Biden? It's not about what about-ism. It's this idea that, okay, we're long since past Brett Kavanaugh. We know what the rules are. We're playing by the rules. And then all of a sudden you break the rules. That's what it's about. It's not what about-ism. The Intercept's Glenn Greenwald gave a virtual eye roll to the controversy, writing, Chris Hayes has been one of the media's most virulent, relentless, and arguably effective Trump critics. An all-consuming loathing for the president. But hashtag Fire Chris Hayes was trending because he covered the allegations against Biden. Shows what MSNBC has cultivated. You know, I love Glenn Greenwald's criticism of the media. I gotta say, I may disagree with him a lot of things, but he's spot on. MSNBC have planted the seeds of their garden. All of these resistance types are what they have created with their psychotic, incessant Russia BS. You can thank Rachel Maddow for them telling you should be fired, Chris. There was still praise to be found on the left. Congressional candidate Jason Call, a Democratic socialist, tweeted a thank you to the House. Yes, but it's because the Bernie people don't like Biden either. You know what I want to do? You know the meme of the two hands coming together? Yes, that's everyone. Just put everyone and everyone, except the resistance people. We're all pointing out that Biden he can't think straight. He's not fit to be president, and he's been accused by this lady. I know. I've said a million times. I don't think the accusations should be held against them that much because they're 30 years old. I don't believe that we should be digging this far in the past. Blah blah blah. You get the point. But however, the main point I want to make is whether or not you agree with the accusations being disqualifying or not, we can all agree that Biden not good for president. It's about that. So if you want to attract the decent amount of people who are in the resistance, who want Biden just to beat Trump, who say things like, stay alive, Joe Biden, then by all means you can go for that microscopic demographic. We'll see how your ratings do. And perhaps that's what MSNBC realized. Biden is not popular. There's not enough people to defend the guy. And they could get everyone if they come out against him. I'll tell you what. There are a lot of people who hate Trump. But I wonder if there's going to be more people now who hate the Democratic establishment. People like Trump supporters and Bernie bros. And that means the market strategy for any media company should be to cater to all of them. You will get more views, make more money, sell more sell ads for more. There's your big market pull. Anti-DNC. Everybody hates them. For a while, everybody hated Trump. Now people just hate Biden. Let's read more. Young Turk's Emma Vigiland offered a few different tweets of praise, one of which said, I am consistently impressed with Chris Hayes' willingness to do what is right and buck the undoubtedly weighty influence of network television. It's not close. He is the best host working within a system that doesn't necessarily incentivize his instinctive truth-telling. Well, I wouldn't go that far, certainly not. I think there's reason for criticism for a lot of people. I don't think Chris Hayes is the worst person in the world, though. I don't mind if you're biased. I really don't. I care that you're honest about your perspective and what you're trying to do. So that's why I say this all the time when people are like, Tim Pool is objective. I'm like, I never said that. I'm biased, man. I rag on Democrats 24/7, okay? Just, you know when you come to me, I'm not here to claim that I know everything, I'm smarter than anybody else. It's that you watch me, you watch other people, get different points of view. That's why I don't like CNN. So look, I can rag on Rachel Maddow for her conspiracy nonsense, but the big problem there is the double standard. These social media platforms will ban a conspiracy theorist but let her do her thing. That's ridiculous. Now, Chris Hayes is allowed to have his bias, his opinions, and say what he wants. I got no problem with that. And I appreciate him calling out Joe Biden right now. I think we all can agree that Joe Biden should have to answer for this if Brett Kavanaugh had to, right? Last year, Reid told the paper that Biden had done these things. We get it. A Biden campaign spokesperson said the accusations were false. Shortly after the release of the podcast episode last month, Women have a right to tell their story, and reporters have an obligation to rigorously vet those claims. Now, here's where it gets good. They're trying to claim they passed around these talking points where they tried claiming that the New York Times has found the story to not be credible. Well, guess what? The New York Times is now coming out against Biden as well. Ooh, it's getting spicy. Let's read a little bit more and then I'll show you this. While mainstream reporting on the accusations has been slow to gain traction, numerous outlets have been working to vet them, and publishing has increased, especially after Reid's first corroborator came forward earlier this week. On Monday, a former neighbor of Reid's recounted that the ex-Senate staffer told her about the allegation. Speaking with Rich McHugh for a piece published Monday for Business Insider, Reid's neighbor said Reid was told around 95 that he did what he did. Okay, I try to keep it family friendly. Cut me some slack. First, I want to show you this. We got Chris Hayes trending on Twitter. You can see it. And we got some tweets here. There's the Glenn Greenwald one that I pointed out earlier. We got June Shoe on Head saying, based Chris Hayes, sorry about your sudden decision to quit MSNBC next week. Here. Will Chamberlain says, I went to MSNBC's YouTube channel and I couldn't find a clip of Chris Hayes talking about Tara Reid and Joe Biden. Almost like MSNBC would like to memory hole that segment for eternity. Now, take a look at this. New York Times says Biden camp's talking points inaccurately describe their Tara Reid reporting. You are losing, Joe Biden. Now hold your horses, everybody. Let me tell you something. There's a lot of people right now. They're cheering. They're saying, "Woohoo! We've done it." Here's the good news for the Bernie Bros. I think there may be an effort. The reason why we're seeing more of this, the reason why the media machine is finally caving, there's a couple of reasons. The simple solution, I think, is just that you can't ignore these allegations. They set these rules with Brett Kavanaugh, and they know it's making them look bad and it's taking away their credibility. So they have no choice but now to address these things seriously. And they're gonna get hurt politically for it, but they're between a rock and a hard place. Now, here's the more conspiratorial view. Joe Biden can't beat Donald Trump. I mean, you look at any of these progressive subreddits, and they all say it. They say things like, if by some miracle, Biden actually wins. Yeah, nobody thinks that guy can do it because the dude can't talk. The Democrats got to find a way to get rid of the dude. Well, along comes an accusation. And they resisted for a while, but all of a sudden now, even MSNBC, the little conspiracy theorist on my shoulder whispering in my ear that I'm always telling to get away is saying, look, they're doing it on purpose. They're going to use this as an excuse to swap out Biden with somebody else. That's not my theory. I didn't make that up. We've actually seen this from high-profile Bernie staffers who have said they may use this as pretext for swapping out Biden because they know he's bad. I don't know. I'm not saying it's a conspiracy. Let me tell you something, man. Tara Reid made the accusation. They tried resisting it. I think the simple solution is that they have no choice. It's making them all look bad. The Washington Post, for instance, they recently ran a segment where they said Trump allies are trying to, push this forward. Well, what is so they get dragged for this, right? Everyone says it's not Trump allies. Mother Jones talked about it. You're just desperate to protect Joe Biden and you can't do it. So what happens? Now we can see the Post's view. The editorial board of the Washington Post says Biden himself should address the Tara Reid allegations and release relevant records. Boom. There it is. You have lost your media shield, Mr. Biden. You know what's sad? I feel bad for the guy. I do not like 30-year-old allegations. You will hear me say that every single time. But look at this old man. The dude was in politics. He was in politics at a certain time where times have changed now. They try and go back in time and say that the policies that he was for or against reflect who he is today. That's not fair. I hate that stuff. Stop it. People change. Opinions change. Joe Biden today is not there. And that's the real sad thing. You know what, man? When you run for president, they will come for you. It will be brutal. It will be aggressive. And it has been. For Donald Trump, they did everything and do everything to stop him. Boy, do they hate that guy. And now Joe Biden, you will face the same treatment. But he is an old man who can barely stand up. There's a video going around where it looks like he fell asleep on TV talking to Hillary Clinton. I didn't want to believe it. I'm like, no, maybe the dude was just reading notes, but he's literally just zonked out for like 20 seconds. Just looked like, I'm sorry, man, it looked like he dozed off. It really, really does. I'm not saying he did. I don't know, maybe he was reading his notes, but the point is, we all know the dude's not there. So now I feel bad that they're trying to take this old man who can't even stand up for extended periods of time, who can't talk, and it's like putting him in front of the stage and being like, answer for your crimes, old man. And he doesn't even know what's going on around him. It's like, dude, at a certain point, it's like put the baby in the crib with the diaper and like let him go to sleep. This man is out of his wit is no more. Can he really answer for this stuff? Can he even remember what happened yesterday? I bet the dude doesn't know what he had for breakfast yesterday morning. I mean that. Well, for that matter, how many of you can think of what you had for breakfast in the morning? But the point is, with the Washington Post coming out, and even the New York Times now saying, no, you're wrong, I think people have realized that they placed themselves in a very, very precarious position. Resistance Twitter is microscopic. The average liberal isn't paying attention. But I'll tell you who is: the progressives, the populists, the Bernie supporters, and like every Trump supporter. That means you have the overwhelming majority of social media users and internet users wanting to know what Joe Biden did and believing he should have to answer for it. Or at least to some degree, seeing the double standard. So the New York Times, they tried. They thought they were going to get away with it. You know what I think it really is? I think they assumed they would be defended relentlessly by everyone on the left. I bet they thought that every Bernie supporter, every Democrat would get behind them, but no. Lo and behold, it's resulted in a major rift. I think Alyssa Milano thought the same thing too. They thought team politics was their safe way out. So Alyssa Milano's like, I believe Joe Biden, and so is Stacey Abrams. And then even Don Lemon of CNN called out Stacey Abrams. To me, that was like, it was like witnessing a supernova or some extremely rare event. Don Lemon, CNN, actually pushing back and challenging these people who hold these double standards. I was surprised, to say the least. But I think they've realized they can't win. And if they want to look like morons, more so than they already do, because I got another segment coming up for you at 4 p.m. about CNN being caught in their lies, well, they know that they have to actually address this. To see the New York Times come out, here's what they said. The New York Times rebuked the Biden campaign on Wednesday, telling Fox News that the reported talking points that have been circulated to prominent Democrats inaccurately describe the paper's reporting on the candidate's accuser, Tara Reade. BuzzFeed reported on the existence of talking points being circulated by the Biden campaign. The New York Times investigation found that Tara Reade's allegation did not happen. Our investigation made no conclusion either way, a spokesperson said. As BuzzFeed correctly reported, our story found 3 former Senate aides, whom Reade said she complained to contemporaneously, all of whom either did not remember the incident or said that it did not happen. The spokesperson continued. The story also included former interns who remembered Reade suddenly changing roles and no longer overseeing them, which took place during the same time period that Reade said she was abruptly reassigned. The Times also spoke to a friend who said Reade told her the details of the allegation at the time. Another friend and Reade's brother say she told them of the incident involving Biden. Now, this is a hilarious and glorious backtracking by the New York Times, because while what they said was true, it is the weaseliest of weasel words. We know what you wrote, New York Times. You included that sentence, filing a false police report can result in prison time. You included a whole section on, now Donald Trump was also accused, which has nothing to do with this story. But you see how they set it up. They set it up in such a way to where they could defend Biden, but then when it came down to it, say, no, look, we actually corroborated it. The criticism of you, New York Times, was that you had corroborating evidence, but you still framed it as though the story was not credible. So don't be surprised then when Biden comes out, or perhaps, as the little conspiracy theorist on my shoulder whispers in my ear, the New York Times set him up. They wrote this story where they knew they had corroborating evidence. They framed it in such a way to cast doubt. Joe Biden then rolls with their story, and then the New York Times flips and says, aha, wrong, and makes Joe Biden look even worse. Could there be some kind of coup occurring at the DNC, or is this all part of the plan? I don't know. The simple solution suggests that big companies, their interests being ratings, are scared that they're looking at their numbers and they're getting thumbs down. That's what I think it is. You know, you go on YouTube, right? You make a video, and then you look at your video and you're like, wow, my entire audience hated that video. I better not do that in the future. I think that's a terrible way to do things. I think you gotta be true to yourself. But these companies don't see it that way. Big companies will do a segment, they'll make a report, and when they get a backlash, they'll say, uh-oh, we better apologize. That's why the social justice outrage mobs work, because they sock puppet and make it seem like everybody's mad at you. I can't remember what show it was. I think it was Family Guy, where someone did something on a TV show. They get a phone call, and they're like, we received 13 calls. According to our math, that means 30 billion people are offended. So they extrapolate, right? That's what happens. So I'm willing to bet the New York Times got a ton of emails saying, why are you doing this? This is not credible. And the New York Times then immediately was like, uh-oh, what have we done? We thought we were doing the right thing. It's like you never know exactly when the mob will turn on you. But apparently there's a line for a lot of people. I'd be willing to bet a lot of the social justice types are the ones who actually contacted, and a social justice campaign is what's resulting in the media flipping. Let me remind you, the New York Times defended Biden, and now comes out like, no, we didn't say that. The Washington Post said it was Trump allies. Now they're straight up calling for Biden to answer for this stuff. And and now Chris Hayes of MSNBC is coming out and saying, let's talk about it. You're not going to get anybody fired. You've lost this one. Biden's out. Trump's going to win 2020, and there's nothing you can do about it. Okay, that's not true. I'm exaggerating a little bit. I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe Trump will win. Maybe he won't. But I'll tell you what. If you want to make sure your guy wins, you better go out and vote. Unfortunately, actually, you know what? Nah, it doesn't matter. I really do not see I don't know what could happen to make Trump lose at this point. I got to be honest. Like, we're in a pandemic. The economy's crashed. We got 30 million unemployed people, and I still don't think Trump can lose because they put Biden up. Man, Pete Buttigieg could have done a better job, but this is who they chose. You deserve to lose, man. I feel bad for this old dude. Do I like Joe Biden? Not really. He's kind of a crony, capitalist, Democrat establishment goon. He has his kid doing these crazy jobs overseas, getting all his fat cash. He's been accused of soft corruption over again. I don't like the guy, but listen, man, he's an old dude. You don't gotta act like, he's a hero or anything, but you can at least be like, let the old man sit in the rocking chair and have some sweet tea, stare at the sunset, and forget all his woes. But putting him up in this position, well, you know what? At a certain point, his friends and family have to take responsibility for the things he's doing. All right, we have this arc in life. When we're children, we don't know better, and then we become adults, we're responsible for ourselves, and eventually you get really, really old, and you're out of it then. And now you're in your sunset years. And while you still have freedom and independence, your friends and family need to help you and guide you because you are on in years. This dude is almost 80 years old. 80. Now, don't get me wrong, Trump's old too, but come on. Like, is this guy, he's a one-term president, even if he got elected, he's not going to win. I'll tell you what, though. If Joe Biden wins, I will laugh harder than I've ever laughed, especially with this. But I think we're seeing the dominoes get lined up. Eventually, someone's going to flick it. Joe Biden's going to be out. The allegation will knock him down. We'll see how it plays out. Stick around. Next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. at youtube.com/TimCast. It is a different channel, and I will see you all there.